Today I want to talk about Raleek Brown, who has announced his commitment date for this Friday. Let's talk about who he is considering and where he is likely leaning, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kidfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time today. We're going to talk about five-star running back, all-purpose back, Raleek Brown, all of 5'8", 185 pounds. But this is a dude that everybody wants. Let's go through his list of suitors and then tell you a little bit about what I know about Raleek Brown and how, well, this thing actually got to this point coming out of modern day. All right, so he is considering LSU, who we all know puts dudes into the league, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, but they can do it at any position. We also understand that they got dudes coming in there, like Corey Kiner's a dude, right? We understand what it means to be a tailback at LSU. Clyde Edwards-Helaire showed you can be a first-round draft pick coming out of LSU playing running back, which is really difficult to do in this climate. You got to really be the best tailback in the country, and LSU has produced that before. Georgia is also on the list. Georgia's got a full stable of backs, from James Cook to Zamir White, Zeus in the house, to Kenny McIntosh, to Kendall Milton, to Dajan Edwards, and still there are more. It is a very crowded backfield, but Georgia's going into a national championship window this year. I think they could be there in the following year, depending on how things go with JT Daniels and how the quarterback situation works out for Georgia, because they got dudes. Carson Beck is good. Brock Vandagriff is good. Gunnar Stockton is good. They'll be there if they can really start to push the ball down the field. And Raleek Brown fits into what you like to do with James Cook. You can line him up 7 yards deep. You can put him in a split back formation. You can put him in the slot. You can put him on the numbers if you want to, because he has that kind of top end speed. Another school to consider here is Oregon. Now, Oregon has made a habit here lately, basically since the Chip Kelly era, of going into LA and coming out with your dude, right? I think about some of the guys that end up at Oregon coming out of that place, and I'm just going, man, DeAnthony Thomas changed the game when he decided to go to Oregon over an SC, or even going back east. If Mario Cristobal could pull this, it would be fun to watch him in Joe Moorhead's offense. I think they would know what to do with him, to say nothing of how good that defense is going to be, not just this year, but the following year. Noah Sewell, Justin Flo in the middle. You're going to get challenged. Michigan is also on the list. I don't really feel like that's going to stay. I don't know that they're going to be considered toward the end as we get toward Friday, but we also understand that Michigan turns out prospects. The one thing I can say Jim Harbaugh does very well is put guys in the NFL. Can't beat Ohio State, doesn't do well against Michigan State, Penn State, top 10 opponents, but his guys develop, his guys get there, and if you're looking for a top flight education, you can also go to Michigan. Alabama's on the list. It's a conveyor belt, all right? You can go to Alabama, you can sit for 3 years, you can play not till the end of that year, end up like O.J. Howard, right? It's that ridiculous. Brian Robinson barely touched the ball because Najee Harris was so good. But you know what? We were saying the same thing about Najee Harris when Damian Harris was at Alabama. If you choose to go to Alabama, the likelihood of you winning a national championship is there. Everybody who has played at Alabama since Nick Saban has taken over has won a national championship ring if they stay for just the 3 years, right? That is what you are doing with Alabama. We'll see if Nick Saban can close, because Nick Saban has been on the Zooms giving everybody the business. Of course, in his backyard is USC. USC has made a living going into modern day, going into Santa Ana and coming out with prize jewels, going all the way back to Matt Leinart, who ends up going to SC, leading them to a national championship, won the Heisman Trophy. We can go, they had Bryce Young in the boat before he decided to flip to Alabama. They ended up getting dudes like Brew McCoy, who was at first going to Texas and then ends up at SC. We understand what it means to come out of modern day. We also understand that the dudes are all looking for a reason to go to SC. Clay Helton put together a phenomenal recruiting class in 2021 after a disastrous recruiting class in 2020. Being able to stay close to home, being able to stay close to where you know your people are, can never be undervalued. You have to overvalue that. But I believe the leader is Oklahoma. And I believe that not just because he was gushing to 247 Sports recruiting director Steve Wiltfong about just what it means at Oklahoma. Chip Viney, Dennis Simmons doing the bulk of the work on him. But remember when we had camps in the before times, before the pandemic? One of the last camps that I vividly remember is Brock Vandagriff and Raleek Brown coming down to OU's elite camp. And Raleek Brown coming down from California to try to win an offer. He went there to win an offer, catching passes from the likes of Vandagriff, who after that committed to Oklahoma before decommitting and then committing to Georgia about a year ago, actually now. But it was clear to him that he wanted to be at Oklahoma. And you can understand the appeal there. One, DeMarco Murray, running backs coach. So you have one of the guys that not just is a made man at OU, I believe he's still got the scoring record at Oklahoma too. But the guy who brought all-purpose back into vogue at OU, right? Coming out of Bishop Gorman, coming out of Vegas, had an all-pro career with the Dallas Cowboys and really developed into a hard-nosed runner after the fact. He can show you how to catch the ball out of the backfield. He can show you how to pick up blitzes and to pass protect, which is going to be the reason you get on the field as a tailback. Don't know how much you're going to ask him to do that at 5'8", 185, but it can't hurt. And also, looking at Joe Mixon, what Oklahoma can do with a guy like Raleek Brown. Lincoln Riley has been phenomenal in his offensive genius, and I really love that Raleek Brown is considering Oklahoma because the Sooners have been they've struck out twice in the last couple of years in tailbacks they wanted. Jason McClellan, of course, going to Alabama. And then this year, Kamar Wheaton, who we all thought was an OU lean, ends up pulling Alabama. That's 2 tailbacks you lose to Alabama in 2 years. You want to add somebody in this class that you can develop after getting Eric Gray out of the transfer portal, which is tremendous for Oklahoma and fills a need with Ramondre Stevenson going into the NFL draft, had an outstanding Senior Bowl. But this Raleek Brown pickup would set the tone, I believe, truly and surely for what Oklahoma could be a top 5 recruiting class in an even year. And the reason that is important is because you usually are going to be good or better based on the caliber of quarterback you recruit. Normally, 5-star quarterbacks do not want to follow 5-star quarterbacks in successive classes. Which proves to not be true at Georgia, where Gunnar Stockton, for now, is going to follow Brock Vandagriff at Georgia. But that's about it, right? For every Caleb Williams that you get, you end up getting a Chandler Morris late who ends up transferring to Texas Christian. For every Spencer Rattler you get, you end up with a Tanner Mordecai who ends up transferring to Southern Methodist. You need to be able to just fill this boat with 5-star skill players, 5-star defensive players if you want to achieve a top 5 ranking to end the 2022 cycle, with National Signing Day coming up on Wednesday and us really doing the math about who did what. And my God, Alabama is ridiculous. All right, let me know what you think about Raleek Brown and his commitment on Friday in the comments below. Deuces.